What's going on? You're in the Beat Sessions. I'm your host, Mitchell Weary. Let's talk about Billy Howerdel and his new album, What Normal Was. That was released on June 10th. This is his debut solo effort, and it keeps tripping me out to say that because, like many of you, I've been listening to this guy now for over a couple of decades, but never exactly in this light. This project is unique in its own right, and I think it stands up nicely as a solo debut for him. I'd also argue that longtime fans of Billy, I think, will be pleased with the balance of familiar territory that he's working with on this record and the new territory that he's navigating as well. So stoked to talk about this project for that reason and for many others, and just because I love Billy. I mean, have you seen this dome piece? I'm like founder and president of the Billy Howerdel fan club. Not really, but I do love A Perfect Circle. Love what he did with Ashes Divide. I know there's a ton of you out there that have probably been screaming for the last minute while I'm talking. That's the first solo record. And you know what? I'll hear that argument. And you're right about that. Billy did everything on that record except for drum. Brought aboard his good buddy Josh Freese to do that, who's outstanding. I don't know how that man does it. He drums for the Vandals and for Devo currently. I mean, he's drummed for Guns N' Roses, A Perfect Circle, obviously, Nine Inch Nails, Weezer. I think he's credited to like over 400 albums or something like that. So I love the dynamic there. I love that Billy chooses to work with Josh. And I know that there's a lot of fans out there that were hoping that this collection of songs would be that follow-up. But I think that Billy made a good move in working under the solo moniker with this record. I don't think this collection of songs would have served well as a follow-up because it's excellent music. It's a little different. I think you're gonna hear that familiar ground that he's covering, but this thing really it's got more of that 80s synth-bathed post-punk goth feel. Billy talks about this record and how this is the type of record that if he'd had the skill set that he had when he first picked up the guitar, which I'm guessing was about in the mid to late 80s, this is the type of record that he would have made. So I'm hearing a ton of The Cure on this thing. I love that about it. Depeche Mode, a little bit of New Order, a newer band. I think of AFI and what they've done later on in their career. Definitely hearing that influence on this record as well. But I love it. It's moody and dark, and I think that with all the synth-laden alternative music that's out there these days, I think that going dark and really giving this album kind of that sinister feel really makes it stand out and really makes it special. So pumped about this record. I really hope that when you check it out, you enjoy it. 10 tracks, 42 minutes, a nice solid run on this thing. Kicks off with Selfish Hearts. Great hook on this song. I like the gentle breakbeat feel. It's got this ambient electro feel as well. Nice album opener. It leads into your second track, Free and Weightless, which this is a really nice track. I like the piano intro on this thing. Kicks into this great 80s post-punk feel. Like the balance of new wave in there, but Depeche Mode, definitely a lot of that Cure in that song. Annie is your third track. This is my favorite song on the record. I like the pulsating synth and vocal intro, and it builds in quick. I dig the light synth that's in this song versus like the dark, just grooving bass element that's there. And then, the instruments that build in on this as well. It's definitely a spectacular song. One of Billy's best, in my opinion, anyway. The Same Again is your fourth track. This song is going to pick up the tempo a little bit on the album. I like the bright textures in this particular track. Gets a little bit of that Robert Smith cadence in his voice on this particular song as well. It's going to lead into your fifth song, Beautiful Mistake. I like the stretch this couple of songs here. This is going to close out your A side. Minimal ambient feel. It's dark. It's really got a pretty heavy goth feel, and then a great guitar solo. I really like that element of this song. It is super dope. And then we're going to flip this thing over. Poison Flowers is going to kick off your B side. Kind of that same feel as far as the minimalism and that goth feel, but then the coda fills out on this song, and it really makes for a nice transition into the rest of this B side. Follower is going to be your seventh track. Picks up the tempo there. Solid rocker. This thing, a little bit of that AFI feel. It sounds like Tears for Fears meets AFI on this song. That's just what I was getting anyway from it. Bring Honor Back Home is your eighth song. Really like the way that the beat kicks in right away on this song. It's got this ominous instrumentation, and I dig the drum-driven breakdown on this particular track as well. Your ninth song, EXP, is your penultimate track. It's a gentle ambient intro. I love the percussion on this song. It's excellent. It transitions into this thicker electronic feel, but still maintains this great mellow balance. I really like the dynamic on that song. And then your final song, Stars, big closer. Love the way that this thing comes together. It's got this bright melody, really solid hook, as do most of these songs. Really just a good, catchy feel. Just a tiny bit of pop It's what I love about Billy. I mean, these aren't pop songs by any stretch of the means, but you know, I guess if you want to consider what was pop music back in the 80s, mid to late 80s, this could definitely fall into that category a little bit. I kind of change up that argument, I guess, but it's a really fun project. I'm really digging what Billy is doing on this album, and I like the freedom that this record gives him moving forward. You know, if he wants to go back and do something that's a little more geared towards Ashes Divide, he can always do that. If he wants to stick with this and keep doing Billy Howerdel records, I'm all for that. Vinyl please on this thing. Hope you enjoy this record and hope you find this review helpful. Please like this video, share it, subscribe to the channel, do all the things to help me blow this project up in 2022, and stay tuned throughout the week for more album reviews. We will see you next time on the Beat Sessions.